Hi guys, this is Chookman here once again. I like talking about stuff I know about. There's nothing worse in society when people get on to wherever they are, YouTube or wherever, and start waffling on about stuff they don't even know nothing about. As you all know, I was awarded a state. Now, I want to get the awareness out there for people to understand that just because you were fostered out and adopted, you weren't, not all of us got loving homes to go to. Even though I don't know how they bluffed the homes or whatever they did to end up having us, especially in my case. I get really pissed off with people when they say, oh, he was adopted and he was fostered out. What a beautiful people they were. No, that's not how they were, right? Now, this is my card here. This is called Ward of the State cards. You get this. See how big it is? That's massive. That's my story here of being Board of the State, right? There you have, right? Now that's that part of it. Now, just because you were awarded a state and you got fostered out and you got adopted, that doesn't mean you went to a loving home. People automatically think, oh, wow, he was adopted and this and that, all good. No, it's not. In my case, it was shocking. I went to two people that should have never had me because they, as the old saying is, they done more damage than good. They left me with critical PTSD, they left me with critical mood swings, and they left me with critical depression. Now, they got me from age 2 right up until I was 16. I ran away from home when I was 13. Should have never ever be put into that family. I'd already come from abuse from my natural mother. Now my lips are tied. I can't go into too much of the abuse because it's a legal matter. The courts have dealt with it. But it should have never happened in the first place. And I hope from now on we can nip it in the butt. And let's hope no other kid goes through what I went through. You know, there's groups out there now. There's a group called BACA. It's Bikers Against Abuse Against Kids. It's an American mob. I think we've got it in Australia too now. It's called BACA. Look it up, guys, if you don't understand what I'm talking about. It's bikers that protect kids that've been abused from their foster family. And it's beautiful what they do. They go, and you got to look it up, guys. It's called BACA. What they do for kids that have been awarded a state, hey, it touches my heart, man. And good on yous. There should be more people like that. But what I went through and how I was left is pitiful. And it's not poor me, because it was never about poor me. It was about what I suffered. I shouldn't have suffered in the first place, and I wouldn't be here telling my story about abuse. The two people that got me, it was their way or the highway. And you did as you're told. There was no other way. You know, I had to wait until I was 16, old enough to leave that foster family that adopted me, that had power over me because I was only a little kid. It turns my guts and my brain when I think about what they did. You know, all I wanted to do is I never felt like I fitted in the family ever since they got me. And then when I started growing up in primary school, I started asking them questions. Who are you? Where did I fit in? And they told me, especially my mother when she got angry with me, you're not our kid anyway. We just fostered you. We got you out of the foster home because no one wanted you. Oh, okay. and we're going to look after you. Well, I was supposed to look after me, but they didn't. They abused me. That's why I've been left with critical, PTSD, mood swings, health issues, and the rest. So my chat today is about getting the awareness out there for people to realise, not just because they think, oh, he got adopted in the end, so he lived happily ever after. No. And my heart goes out for people like myself that end up 55 years old and still talks about the shit he suffered as a young boy growing up into a man. I can still not understand in my own brain why they did what they did. You know? When even I know that, and I'm not a father's asshole, I got no kids. But to bring them up with violence and to show them a bad way in life, you're not giving them a good example on how they should be as they growing up. They grow up like me, angry and frustrated. I spent many years hating the world and everyone in it until I matured and understood that's not how life goes. You know? Now I've just got to make do with what I've got. You know, I've got heaps of health issues. I've got heaps of brain injuries. I've got heaps of this and heaps of that. And I always wondered if I had went to a family that would have loved me and brought me up with respect and all the rest, how I would have turned out. So that's me just babbling on about getting the awareness out there for other people to understand. Just because you were fostered out and you were adopted, that doesn't mean you went to a good family. That just means you went from the orphanage to a family and they did what they did with you. Because we fell through the gaps. You know, the government gives us a letter signed from the government apologising for our abuse. Really? You think that letter's going to be all good and we're all happy because you guys failed us and we're but they gave us a letter and it's all good now? No, it's not. It's a bit like this. When the guys went to the First World War and the Second World War and they come back with critical PTSD, their life was never normal again. That's why they took up riding Harleys. Because it was something they enjoyed and something they loved and it made them happy. Because otherwise they would have went the other way and just went bang. Thank God there was Harleys around that took their interest in all the diggers that went to war for us. And if it wasn't for them guys, we wouldn't be here today. But getting back to the Harleys, they got out of the Second World War, they were bored, the people around them didn't like them because they went to war and they killed people and people killed them, and they took up a hobby. Riding Harleys, and they loved it. And it kept them happy. So good on them. Bit like me, with my collecting. I had to do something, or otherwise I wouldn't be here today talking to you guys. I took up collecting, I took up riding Harleys, and that gets me out of my dark spot. And a bit of medication. I'm on medication to keep me level. To keep my brain from racing. People don't like talking about stuff like this, but I think if I can get the awareness out there and it helps someone else, hey, I feel good. You know? So I hope you get my story, and I hope you think I'm not just waffling on poor me, because it was never about poor me. It was all about fighting for the underdog. And if you are awarded a state and you don't want to do what I did, fight it all away, I understand too. Because mentally and physically, it's draining up here. You know, I talk to a lot of different people and a lot of interesting people to tell me their story. And they go, oh, I'm not going to take it to court. Oh, I'm not going to do. And, and I get that. And I respect that too. Because it's not easy. It's not an easy thing to do. You know, you got to prove to yourself that you come from abuse to a judge. Now, she can either take it or she can deny it. But to be proving that you're abused and it should have never ever happened, that's mentally up here, mentally and physically, it stuffs you up. But at least I'm a fighter and I'll fight it all away. Some people out there that were wards of the state that want to fight for their rights, they haven't got to get up and go in them. I had to get up and go in me. I said they're not going to get away with this shit. And why should they? You don't adopt kids because they're an object. Oh, I'll adopt kids and I'll abuse them and I'll do this and I'll do that because I own them now. There's a piece of paper in my hand that says I own them. I signed on the dotted line. You know, as a young boy, he'd smack me in the mouth and people would see it and they'd say, hey, he's only a 5-year-old boy. You can't be hitting him like that. You know what he'd say? Hey, buddy, shut your mouth. He's my son. I'll do what I want to do. Back in the 70s, it wasn't talked about. It was shame. You know? And over the years that went past, people started popping up and saying their stories. Well, good on them. And then the ball started rolling. You know? But abuse has been there for a hell of a long time. I'm 55 and abuse has been... Go back to when I was 2 and probably there was other younger kids, you know, that had come up before I was even born. Abuse has been going on for a hell of a long time. People think, oh, just because we're talking about it now, it's happening now. No, abuse has been around a long time, and it's only since people have been getting caught abusing kids that it's out in the TV. It's out in the, what do you call it? It's out on everyone's talking about it, like they should. Anyway, guys, that's my forte on getting fostered out and adopted, and please, take it from the Chook man. Not all of us went to beautiful homes and lived happily ever after.